problem that says the vent rod is supported at A, B, and C by a smooth journal bearings. Compute the X, Y, and Z components of reaction at the bearings if the rod is subjected to forces F1 equals to 300 pounds and F2 is equal to 250 pounds. F1 lies on the YZ plane, the bearings are in proper alignment, and they exert only force in the reactions on the rod. So first of all, let's draw our free body diagram. And let's start by the reactions at point A. So we know at A, we have a reaction towards a positive Y. Let's call it a Y. And a reaction towards a positive X. And there's no reaction on the C. Same thing for B. So we have BC and BX. No reaction in the Y. And for C, we have CC and CY. Oops, CY. Going more along the Y-axis. Clean that up a little bit. Perfect. Now, yep, that's pretty much it, because there's nothing about moments in this problem. So that being said, let's find the sum of the forces along the X, the Y, and the Z. But first of all, we need to basically write F1 and F2 in Cartesian vector form to be able to simplify this problem. So F1 in Cartesian vector form would be F1 in the X, F1X in the I, plus F1Y in the J, plus F1C in the K. Now F1X is equal to 0 because F1 has no force, exerting no force along the Z-axis because it sits at the YZ plane like the problem stated. F1Y is equal to, F1 has a magnitude of 300 pounds times the cosine of 45, and it's negative because it's going towards the left, it's going towards the negative Y-axis. So that will be minus 212.13 pounds. And F1C is equal to minus 300 again times the sine of 45, which is negative because it's going towards the negative Z-axis. And that is equal to minus 212.13 pounds. Perfect. So now we got to do the same thing for F2. F2 has an X component, a Y component, and a Z component. The X is equal to the magnitude of F2, remember, stated in the problem, was 250. It's positive because it's going towards the positive X-axis. So the force that we're trying to find, you could depict it here. It's not acting here. Don't think that. This is just the line that I'm trying to form, represented by trigonometry. So this would be the vector in the Z. This would be the vector in the X, and this would be the vector in the Y. In reality, remember, the force is happening at the origin, so this is what you're trying to find, which is equal to this. So I just try to simplify so you understand the trigonometry I'm about to do. So the force times the cosine of 45 times the sine of 30. So the cosine of 45 gives you this force right here, and then that force times the sine of 30 gives you the X component. That comes out to be 88.388. For the Y is 250 cosine of 45 cosine of 30, because that pretty much gives you this one, the Y component, and that is equal to 153.09. And the C is easier, is minus 250. It's minus because it's going down towards the negative Z-axis, sine of 45, and that is equal to minus 176.78. Now it's easy to do the sum of the forces in the x, the y, and the z, so let's do that. Sum of the forces on the x, we know that is equal to 0, and it's equal to ax plus bx plus f2x, and f2x, we know that it is 88.388. Sum of the forces on the y is equal to 0, and it's equal to ay plus cy. Now we have the in the y we have the f1y, which is minus 212.13, and the f2y, which is plus 153.09. Perfect. Let's get these two together, and let's say that 0 is equal to ay plus cy minus 59.04. We have another equation here, and we have an equation here. I'm going to label this equation 1 and label this equation 2 for all the math magic that we're going to do later, so we know what equations I'm referencing. Let's do sum of the forces in the C. It's equal to 0, and it's equal to BC plus CC. And again, F1C and F2C collectively are minus 212.13 minus 176.78. So that means that 0 is equal to BC plus CC minus 388.91. And let's call this equation 3. Now from equation 1, 2, and 3, you see that we have basically 3 equations and 6 variables. So we're going to need to find out a couple of more equations if we want to figure out this problem. So for that, we're going to do the sum of the moments about the x, sum of the moments about the y, and sum of the moments about the z. And let me add a new page for that. So sum of the moments about the x is equal to 0, and we know that about the x-axis, I'm looking at it from here, and I am assuming that counterclockwise is positive. Now what are the forces that are trying to turn this whole assembly about the x-axis? That would be BC. So this force right here, I have to redraw them because they were in my previous board. BC is trying to turn it, but BX is not. Let me actually talk about this here and then go and draw. So forces that are trying to turn it are BC. AY is also trying to turn it. AX is not trying to turn it because it's parallel to the x-axis, and BX is parallel to the x-axis, so it's not trying to turn it. And F1Y and F1X. So the y component of F1 is trying to turn it, and the C component is also trying to turn it. F2 is not doing anything because F2 is right at the x origin, so it's not creating a moment about the x-axis. So that being said, let's go back to our board and let's draw our equation, which is current layer is hidden. No, it's done something wrong. There we go. So sum of the moments about the x is equal to 0, and is equal to BC times 3. We know that it's negative because it's trying to turn it clockwise. Minus AY times 4. Now 3 is the distance between BC and the x and c plane. Now for AY being that way is the distance between x and the height of A, basically about the c-axis. Now what else am I forgetting? Okay, F1, which is F1y times 5, and it's positive because F11y is basically this force right here, so it's the distance between the origin and this point, that's why it's 5, plus F1c times 5 as well. And that's because it's the distance from here to the origin and That's the force that we're basically finding. But we know F1y and F1x, so we can actually write another equation. 0 is equal to minus 3bc minus 4ay plus 21.3. We have a fourth equation. So doing something similar, sum of the moments about the y is equal to 0, and it is equal to, about the y we have ax times 4 minus cc times 5. So ax, it is creating about a moment about the y. Ax is this one right here, and cc is this one right here. The other ones are not creating a moment because they're either parallel or they go directly to it. Let me see, do I have anything else? No, that's it. So ax is equal to minus 1.25 cc. Call this equation 5. We have 5 equations so far. I think we're going to end up with like 10 equations. Just a little preview if you're getting impatient. Some other moments about the c is equal to 0. Now about the c, I'm going to move a little faster for this one. We got 5 times ax plus bx times 3 minus cy times 5. Let's draw them. So ax is creating a moment about the c. Bx is creating a moment about the c, and cy. So those are the ones that return the assembly about the c-axis. And that function comes out to be 0 is equal to 5ax plus 3bx minus 5cy. Sixth equation. Turn the page on my notes. Alright, so now we're going to start playing with equations and trying to see if with all these equations we can figure all this out. So I'm going to do some math, and I would like to open a new board for that. And I'll ask you to, in your notes, reference the number of the equations that I'm saying if you want to look where I got them from. But I'm trying to be very clear about what I do. So first I'm going to just rewrite equation 1. ax plus bx is equal to minus 88.388. This is just equation 1, okay? Nothing interesting here. And equation 3. Let's say bc plus cc is equal to 388.91. But I also know that if I plug in equation 5 into equation 1, I get minus 1.25 cc plus bx is equal to minus 88.388. All I did is plug in equation 5 into equation 1, nothing interesting. So let's get equation 6, which is equal to 0 is equal to 5ax plus 3bx minus 5cy. Then let's plug in equation 1 into equation 6. And we get that 0 is equal to 5 times negative bx minus 88.388 plus 3bx minus 5cy. Let's keep solving this equation. Minus 2bx minus 441.94 minus 5cy. Let me write it down what I'm doing here actually. I'm plugging in equation 1 into equation 6 for this one. And for this one, I'm plugging equation 1 into equation 5 into equation 1. So 5cy, keep solving this equation. Minus 5cy is equal to 441.94. Cool. I'm gonna call this equation 7. If you're wondering how am I supposed to come up with all these things, I just sit there and literally start trying, and sometimes I come up with equations that are unnecessary, but just start plugging in equations into other equations until you end up with 3 equations and 3 variables, and then you can solve the system. So that's pretty much what we're trying to do. So let's keep moving. Equation 2 is cy is equal to 59.04 minus ay minus 4ay is equal to 3bc minus 21.3. This is equation 4. So from here we can get that AY is equal to minus 0.75 BC plus 530.325. Calling this equation 8. Just basically rewriting stuff here. Okay, perfect. So if you plug in equation 8 into equation 2, you get that Cy is equal to 59.04 plus 0.75 BC minus 530.325, and then you get that Cy is equal to minus 471.285 plus 0.75 BC, and I'm calling this equation 9. And I think these are all the equations I pretty much need. I think for now we're gonna actually start getting some results. No, I told you guys I needed 10 equations. I see that I have one more. So let me write that down here, minus 2bx. Okay, hold on. What I'm doing here is plugging in equation 9 into equation 7. So I get minus 2bx minus 5 minus 471.285 plus 0.75 BC is equal to 441.94. Keep solving this. 2356.425 minus 3.75 BC is equal to 441.94 minus 2bx minus 3.75 BC. Can you guys hear my cat? Apologies. 1914.485, and this is the last equation, equation 10. So that being said, let me add another board, and we're about to solve this problem, I promise. So remember, equation 3 is BC plus CC is equal to 388.91. Let's call this equation A. Don't say I'm cheating. Now, remember we have another equation that says 1.25 CC plus BX is equal to minus 88.388. So, let's call this equation B. Then minus 3.75 BC minus 2bx is equal to minus 1914.85 at C. Now we know that if we multiply b times 2, and I'm going to rewrite it down here, I get that minus 2.5 cc plus 2bx is equal to minus 176.776. All I did was multiply that. Now, if I add them together, these two cancel out, right? And I get minus 2.5 cc is equal to 2091.626 with a negative right here. This is minus 3.75 BC. And if I multiply 3.75 times A, and I write it down here, I get 3.75 BC plus 3.75 CC is equal to 1458.41. I add these two together, and we get 1.25 cc is equal to minus 633.21. So that means that cc is equal to minus 506.57. And we finally find one of the numbers that we're supposed to find. Now with this, everything becomes so much easier because you can just go back through your notes and start looking at your equations and basically start plugging things in. So if I plug this into equation A, I get that BC minus 506.57 is equal to 895.91 and BC is equal to 895.48. Plug this into C and you're gonna get minus 3.75 times 895.48 minus 2bx is equal to minus 1914.85. So bx is equal to minus 721.6. This into equation 1. You get that AX is equal to minus 88.388 plus 721.6. So that means that I'm going to write it above. AX is equal to 633.212. What else am I missing? Then BC, I can also plug this into equation 8. And I get AY is equal to minus 0.75 times 895.48 plus 530.325. This is a 3 and this is a 5, I swear. So AY is equal to minus 141.28. And then the last one is plugged into equation 9. Basically, we're plugging BC into equation 9, and we should get that CY is equal to minus 471.285 plus 0.75 times 895.48. CY is equal to 200.33. I remember that it's all in pounds. So let me see. CC and CY, we have AY and AX, and we have BX and BC. Final answer. If you made it this far, please make sure you go to finalanswer.com. There you're gonna find all the videos I've been working on and 6 ways to support this channel. And make sure you check my merch store by going to store.finalanswer.com.